Hello, everybody. Good evening on the Monday evening, on the excited week of lot of news. Great to see everybody. Let me see, Mr. Deeds. Hi, my church. Patricia, Love by the Moon. All my girls are there. Jojo, Rook, Patricia. Already said that. Mr. Fox. Hey, and Marsh Mac, Benjamin. Hey, neighbor. And great to see you all. And I have today Craig Mason, a cat spotter, and Chef
Hello.
Matt. Great to see you. Well, as you know, I've got only a GoFundMe, don't have a PayPal. If you guys want to donate or whatever, then you know where to find it. Um, in the meantime, we're going to start. And obviously, you are one of the big ones that has been taken down. Hi, JP. Good to see you too. And Lance. And let's talk because I always have my guest and I want to know who is the person behind the Patriot and how it all started. So can you tell us a bit about who is Greg Mason?
Well, thanks for having me, Keystone. It's great to talk to you again. It's always a pleasure. I always,
Yeah,
I always love to see your energy everywhere and all these different places, and hearing you talk to people.
you
The
were
pe-
actually the first where I was a guest on a show.
oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah, I remember
yes,
that. That was a long time ago. Well, cool. I'm
yeah.
glad we've stayed in this for this long. I saw someone tweet, Ellen Oakley, who I'm guessing a lot of you know on Twitter, tweeted the other day. She said, "Thank you, everybody who's stuck with this for the last 3 years, because it's been such a long journey, and we finally arrived. Timing is everything. We finally arrived at the point where this is really happening, the critical point. So thank you all for sticking with this, because it's been a wild ride, and I know it's taken a lot of mental fortitude to do so.
Yeah.
But as for the person behind the Patriot, I like that phrase. I live in the U.S. I live in Washington State. I'm from the Midwest originally, the Chicago area, and I moved out of Illinois originally because the taxes were so incredibly high there. And it was right. I moved right before. In fact, this is the 4-year anniversary this month of when my wife and I moved from the Chicago area. Which, if you look up the finances of the state of Illinois, it is always at the bottom of the list in terms of having any enough money to cover its debts. Like literally the bottom, right above New Jersey usually. And
Right.
so when this was happening 4 years ago, we moved from there to originally North Idaho, which is just very close to where we still live now. And
Right at the moment that Trump came in office then.
well, right before is the critical thing. Is
Yeah.
right before, because I thought if Hillary wins, then this is all going to go badly,
Yeah.
very bad. And we had our passports. I don't know what we were going to do, but we were trying to get to a safer place. And because I kind of saw the writing on the wall, as I'm guessing many of you did.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even know, even if Trump got elected, I thought, I don't know what's going to happen, but I like our odds much better under Trump. And
Yeah.
then things have gotten, it seemed for a while, we didn't know what was going to happen with Trump, but it seems like he has delivered on every single promise, except for locking her up, which I think will come eventually. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so we moved here, and I feel more optimistic than ever. I moved actually from North Idaho, which is a very red state, to Washington. The eastern part is still fairly red, but it's overall a blue state. But I think it has a lot of potential. And
Right.
so my background is in accounting. I've worked in that for a long time. It's not an exciting profession, but I've always watched the media. I was a Rush baby. Are you familiar with the term Rush baby, Keystone?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you know Rush Limbaugh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Rush babies are, oftentimes millennials who grew up with their parents listening to Rush.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. So we were exposed to Rush as well. And I was, my parents were conservative. And I was always, not always, but generally fairly often interested in what's going on in the world, and specifically in radio and media and things like this. So I just was watching all these different things, and watching AJ on the other network that we've talked about. Not we,
yeah.
but generally in this movement, you probably know who I'm referring to. And I thought, I want to talk about these things because I want to meet other people who are talking about the same thing. And I feel like I would meet a lot of interesting people
Yeah.
and learn a lot of things and get useful information out there. And so I started doing this about 3.5 years ago. And I love doing it. And that's how
Wait,
I got
you
here
started
today.
your channel 3.5 years ago?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, wow. So,
Yeah.
when did you have your awakening?
Oh, my awakening. Well, I kind of realized all the DS stuff and the conspiracy stuff was pretty real about 12 years ago, 12 or 11 years ago, when I saw some documentaries by other people,
Yeah,
and I saw, I saw the events of September 2001 happen, and then the conspiracies surrounded by that. And I saw the documentary Loose Change in 2006 or so, and it kind of convinced me something else was going on.
right,
And the more I researched it, the more I thought, oh, something definitely is going on.
right.
And so I kind of had this awakening of that there is this deep state conspiracy. And I saw how bad it was, like how truly bad it was. And I thought there's no coming back from this, because I
Yes,
saw that it would take somebody like Trump, who was on the inside and would have had to have people on his side. I thought there's nothing like that. That's never going to happen. So I just thought nothing's ever going to change. And then
exactly.
and then all of a sudden it turns out it is happening. So then I got unblackpilled, and then I was really excited. I'm really excited about Trump. More
Yeah.
excited than ever, really.
Well, yeah, because if you were already, so you actually went in that election already very positive because you knew change would probably come, right?
Yeah, I thought probably, but the system it runs so deep, and you know what happens when someone tries to do this. You know what happened to Kennedy. You
Yeah,
know what happened
yeah,
to Reagan, got the warning shot across the bow.
yeah,
And so I thought, well, I mean, if anybody can do it, it seems like this guy's going to give it a good shot. But
yeah.
I didn't realize, one, how hard they would fight back,
Well,
and
yeah.
two, that he would actually be able to totally parry all their attacks and just move forward and keep winning. It's just amazing.
Yes, because in 4 years' time, it's just like amazing how the world has changed, like literally all over the world. Because we had a similar story in our country with a politician that has been killed, like years ago. He was also like one that wanted to change, and
Hmm.
so that didn't last long because before there was any election, he was right before that election he was taken out. Then now we have another one that gets bashed, and but yeah, we literally are. We don't have anybody. So when Trump came in, I was like, wow, that's cool. It's great for America, and yes, America first. But what about us? And
Right.
so, but now I see everything so differently because I see the change. I see what's happening right at this moment worldwide, and things are ramping up. I just feel it.
Oh yeah. So what's the feeling like over there amongst people like you that are red pilled and know what's going on?
Well, the biggest DS countries is France, Germany, Belgium, Holland. That's like, and the UK. That's like the core where
Mhm.
they all are. And but those are the same countries that are completely ruled by them. And so I figured, what how is that going to be solved, right? And so now there is a lot of military movement going on. Happens that today they happen to start a military exercise which was supposed to be in Germany, but all these countries have hard lockdowns right now. We have curfew, we have all that stuff. And so I thought, well, it's weird to have a military training between today and the 11th of November, and that's not a coincidence.
No.
So, and there is movement all over the place in Europe, and obviously we are being kept at home, and they want to do the hard thing like the curfew, where you cannot go outside between 10 and 6 a.m., 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So that's another weird thing. Plus, every single border is closed off. Nobody can go in or out,
Wow.
and yeah, that doesn't sound much like a reason for, having uh, the Kung flu going on. It just doesn't make any sense. So I do feel something big is about to happen also here. And yeah, that I have good hopes. I'm positive about it. Many people, yeah, getting what you call it, like nervous because on the other hand, if you think about it in a negative way, we could think, oh my gosh, we are completely jailed right now. Um, but I do believe there is something bigger happening that is positive, and so We'll see, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, we've been told it's a worldwide effect, and it certainly seems like that. There's people
Yeah,
paying attention around the world, and it is America centric what's going on, but America is also where the 1776 revolution happened. So we may be the tip of the spear, but I think the where we move in a certain direction, we all tend to go in a similar direction, affect with the whole world.
yeah,
And it's there's something, yeah, something big's happening. The fact that we've made it this far and we've won this much after four
yeah.
years, they haven't been able to 187 Trump. They haven't been able to
No,
impeach him. They haven't been able to remove his power in any way. He's still, we've been asked, do you think that these people are more powerful than the office of the president of the United States and the
exactly.
military? No, they're obviously not, because they're still winning. So something big's about to happen in either the next few weeks or the next 4 years, but it's happening.
Well, some years back, when something happens in the US, usually after a year, 2 years, it will arrive here in Europe, no matter what it is, right?
Have
Whether
an
it's,
example of something like that? Because that's interesting.
yeah, well, whether it's trends or whatever, but now everything goes in sync. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And everything is surrounded by obviously Trump, the bashing and all that. And
Hmm.
so clearly there is worldwide something going on. And if you look from a perspective, like say that all these corrupt people are like fleas, would you attack them one by one? That would be a bit stupid, right? No, you do it all at once. This is what I think is going to happen, because if you look, the military movements going on, lockdowns, things that just doesn't make sense worldwide. I think it's going to be all at once. And I remember from our favorite Anon at a certain point that he said worldwide, because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
in a Q&A when somebody said, what about Europe? And I was concerned at the time as well. And then he only said worldwide. And I do believe it's going to be all at once, because how else are you going to do it?
Yeah, I don't see. I think that analogy with the fleas makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
And
what does an exterminator do? Does
yeah,
he catch them one by one? No. They multiply, they keep making ideas, and they keep running and all that. So, yeah, I call them cockroaches or fleas, but whatever. It's an extermination that's going on now. And we were talking today in Discord, and it was about like all the wars have been about civilian casualties, right? And now the war is not about a country; it's about against governments and people high up, and that's an interesting war. But it's at the same time, this is World War III. It's just completely different than we've ever seen before, and well, it's about time, isn't it?
yeah, it definitely is about time. It's something that I never thought we'd see in our lifetime. And I was actually just searching here on the aggregator site. I was looking for, because I thought I remember a post about a rat hole, but maybe I made that up. But about the rats all scurrying, but it's happening on multiple levels, because you can look at this in terms of the destruction of the old guard, systematic destruction of
Yes.
the old guard, and a lot of them will have to be arrested and tried. I think that that's the only way to make sure it doesn't happen again. But on the other hand, which I think could happen it could happen all at once worldwide,
Yeah.
just like in the movie The Godfather 3 is kind of how that happened at the end there too. Sorry to spoil it if
Yeah.
you haven't seen it, but it happens there. It doesn't quite work out entirely there, but maybe they learn from that. But
Well,
also, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm just thinking that logically, that would be the way to go. Think about, in every analogy, you would say it all goes all at once. Now, everything has been building up behind the scenes, and when it's like when they talk about the storm and the mother of all bombs, to me that would be all at once, the complete takedown of it, because and this also makes room for complete change in one go. Yes, will that be a shock? Well, not for those that are awake, But for those that are not, well, that's fine. I mean, really, how else can you do it? But still, there are no casualties in this kind of war. At least there are, because people get beaten up here by police, and in America you have the riots and all that. But that's the minimum if you think from a perspective of war. You know, I mean, you cannot go without casualties, but they are still the minimum, because in every normal war, how many deaths would there be? Like millions,
Oh,
if we're talking about war. And in this case, also, the phrase, it will end before it begins, is one that I keep in mind constantly, because we don't
where's that from?
even, also from our favorite
Oh,
Anon.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
it's
go on.
some yeah, it's somewhere in the beginning, and that's when we thought, well, what's that about? But what happens is that behind the scene, everything starts, ramping up, and everything is happening. I think the biggest takedowns have been done from the structures, and now it's the people itself that needs to be taken down. So their structures and their strongholds have been taken down already. They just don't have anywhere to go anymore, and so these are their last ways. Because now, this week, they started again ramping up the whole Muslim terrorist thing, right? Because they need something to have people all, hysterical. But
Mhm.
it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. I mean, everything comes together for me. Hey,
Oh,
I see
yeah.
my mom in the chat. Hello, mom.
Hi, Mom. Nice to meet
And yeah, and Neo and Baby Yoda. Hi all. Anyway, so yeah, it's exciting. What do you think? What's coming about the elections? Do you think they will happen? I'm sorry, I have a drippy nose.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, I think they're going to happen. I mean, there's no way that Trump is going to not let that happen. Everything that has been done and they're doing it by the book,
Yeah.
because that's what we have to hang on to. Is we have this set of rules. We have the Constitution. We have a protocol that has been set in stone for over 200 plus years, and it's hard to argue with that. It's like
Yes.
the last election. I think the biggest mistake they made the last election, the DS, is actually letting Trump get inaugurated, because once they did that, they unleashed the power. It just felt like something changed that day, and they
Yeah.
gave him the power of the presidency, and they just thought, oh, we'll just get him out with all these tricks. They had all these tricks up their sleeve,
Yeah.
and now we have this protocol where he's in charge, and he seems to me, from what I can tell about people and from watching him very closely for the last 4 years, he seems like a good person who actually has the people in mind, and
Yes.
very
Yes.
smart and very capable, and he has the smartest people around him. If you read what really smart, successful billionaire business people say, they will say, like Trump, like he's one of them. They will often say, it's not just me that's smart. I have to have the best people around me. I have to know who to find for the best people, and he finds the
Yes.
best people he trusts, people he talks about the people around him and how good they are,
Yeah.
and he just has he's done an extremely 10 out of 10 job making sure that these people can't derail this operation, and then he's doing things by the book. And so
Yes.
the election is going to be one more piece of doing things by the book. And if you recall, after the 2018 election, there was I think it was from the Department of Homeland Security, maybe, or one of those agencies that said, we're now investigating, or we have protocols in place for making sure we don't have voter fraud or to catch voter fraud.
Yeah.
And after that election, so I bet they have a lot of evidence from that election, and I bet they are watching evidence of voter fraud now, because there is no way that this election can be won without voter fraud for the Democrats. Just no way. If
Do you
you go,
think?
oh, go
Do you
ahead.
think there will be an election in the first place?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think that there.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think there won't?
No.
You think there won't be an election?
No.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, think about it. What's happening now? All the drops going on with Biden. He can be elected because, I
Oh yeah.
mean, and so what you get is you're in, and this is interesting because I don't know if you've seen the picture with Trump and Pompeo and Pence, where he's standing before this painting from the one president that was unopposed. And so I think he will be unopposed. then what do you have? And he said, not another 4 year. This is not just another 4 year election. And so, in the beginning, and uh, in 2016, when that whole bomb from Wikipedia or WikiLeaks and stuff happened, that crunched her. However, that was way before. They still could, put it under the rug because there was Comey going on. But now, I mean, how many days? 8 days before, and they drop all these bombs. What do you think? They can elect somebody like that? They
No,
can't. And
no,
then there's somebody unopposed. They cannot all of a sudden change candidate.
no.
And so what will happen is that obviously is going to, well, this is my theory, right? So there's going to be you've got all this military placement also in the US and movement going on. So I think that will be the moment that the military will step in and they will take down all these riots and all that. But at the same time, with what's her name, who's going to be nominated? Is that
Amy Coney
today?
Barrett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So what you get is then that I do believe that eventually this past 4 years may be nullified as being a president, and so and it's very plausible, if you think about law wise. Um, he cannot be. I mean, Biden cannot run the way things are right now because it's coming out like a flood, and what's going to happen?
So what do you think will happen? Like what happens November 3rd? Because he'll still
Uh,
be he's on the ballots. The ballots are printed. People have already voted for him. What do you think will happen on election day?
Well, I guess they will put up kind of a facade of like how many are voting for him, etc. But at the end of the day, I think it all will be nullified because it will come out that he is not that Biden can be like a serious opponent since he already is implicated. And
Right.
so
Oh
and so
yeah.
what do you
That's
get
coming out.
then? What do you get then? Well, I don't know. Probably because then until an inauguration, that will take a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if military steps in and a military enactment? It is.
Against Trump or against the deep state? DS, excuse me.
Yeah, against the deep state. So it probably will be taken over in order to let things run smoothly and to um, get these people arrested. And then what? Because you know what, if you get military enactment, the whole government has to they are not valid anymore. And so then things will be decided from, what is that, a military perspective. I don't know exactly how that works because I don't know how the law regarding that works in the US, but um, there's still then plenty of time to an inauguration, and I don't think. I think he's unopposed, and so what you gonna do? I don't know, by the way, what happened to that president that was unopposed.
Who was the president that was unopposed?
What is his name? Can people put that in the chat because I can't remember because I don't know all presidents in the United States.
Yeah, I'm not sure of it either. 1820? Was it that long ago?
Because
James
that
Monroe?
that, that picture said so much for me. That was quite interesting to see. Does anybody know the name of this unopposed president and what happened after? Brad, you always know that stuff. Monroe. Monroe.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I and there's a picture of them standing in front of a picture of Monroe somewhere.
Yes. And
That's
they're
interesting.
smiling like big smiles. And
Interesting.
yes, you haven't seen that?
No, I have not. That is
Oh
pretty
man.
cool.
Well, to me, that was like when somebody pointed it out. I didn't know that, but somebody pointed it out, and I was like, "Holy crap!" That's like, if that isn't a com, I don't know what is.
Wow, that's very interesting. So yeah, so it could be. I mean, we would still though have the election. It seems like we would have the election. It's just that Biden would basically drop out and Trump would get 90% of the vote. I would think.
Well, yeah, and it's still 8 days. Have you seen what happened in today and yesterday? I mean, the bombs keep dropping. Remember, drip, 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 flood, a
Yes,
flood.
that's
This
it's
is,
happening just like that.
and then what has to happen? Something radical has to happen. Why? Because you get people that starts rioting because um, stuff is going to happen. And
Oh yeah,
that, well, obviously, this is my theory, right? I don't say it's a fact, but to me, it adds up.
it totally adds up. It totally adds up that it's going and it's happening just as we were suggested it would. It's just like you said, drip, 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 flood. We had
Yeah.
uh we had some huge booms, and it's like the laptop from hell stuff just keeps more and more and more and more every single day over the week.
Yes.
I haven't even checked even what's happening today yet. What's happening? What did more come out today?
Um, Today there was, what was there? Some articles indeed about, well, the whole text about the Biden families, how they tried to put a lid on the fact that he was with underage girls. But, this is like the tip of the iceberg, if you ask me, because I
Oh,
mean, there is so much there, and people start to get. And I don't know if you've seen the difference between a rally from Biden and one from Trump. Then it's quite laughable, right? I mean, he's got pumpkins for audience, and so uh, it's so clear that everybody, well, I would say almost 90% from, some will not vote. Those that actually will are for, what's her name, or his name for Biden. Those are so little people. The rest is all Trump.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and yeah, the media doesn't show it, but we know. I mean, just look at the rallies. That's all you need to know.
Look at the rallies. Yeah, yeah. You look at the rallies. It's Trump gets 25,000 people all the time, all over, visiting the same states over and over again. And then you see Obama on the street with this tiny little bullhorn, and he's got like 20 or 30 people there.
Well, yeah,
And
what does that say?
it says that Obama's a loser, and Trump has a huge fan base.
Yeah. Well, and so yes, of course, not everybody comes out to for their favorite one that day, but think about it from the other perspective, right? So if somebody that is voting for Biden, they wouldn't they be supportive of him, and wouldn't they try to win that race from all the support that Trump has?
Oh, yeah, big
But
time.
no, no, because you know what? It's all based on hate. They don't care about the politics in itself because they're too stupid for that, right? And so, what do you get? This big, big contrast that's going on. Well, that already says enough to me. And so, yeah, that the 3 year deltas they start. Well, actually, they start. Yeah, in 2 days, the 28th, the 2 years delta
Yeah,
drops.
3 years.
I mean, those are major,
Yeah,
major. And
right.
so, yeah, I do think this is it. And yes, said that so many times, but now it all adds up.
Oh,
It's
yeah. It adds up like never before, and the timing makes more sense than ever before. I mean, this is when people pay attention.
exactly.
People pay attention in the U.S. so much more every 4 years. It's not just another 4 year election. Something
Yeah.
big is happening, and to have this all planned from 3 years ago when they started. I mean, it was obviously planned before that, but 3 years ago when they started making these posts, that you look back and people say, "Oh, that was supposed to happen back then." It's all doesn't make any sense. Now it's all just fitting into place.
And not
Disinformation.
only,
Here,
I
go ahead.
mean, compare this also with what happening in Europe. I mean, that added up. It all makes sense. This is wasn't it called always the mass arrest? I think this is it. Because everything is just lining up in a way that to me doesn't make any other sense than you know something is going down.
Yeah, now the mass arrest, it would make sense if it happens soon, but I don't know. I don't know for sure if it will. I don't like. I'm not even that focused on that because we've been
No,
told so much that public
sure,
awakening is their greatest fear, and the
but I
public
think
awakening is happening right now. That's
with
what's
my very many Americans think with mass arrest, what is meant is everybody in the US. But what if that is actually a worldwide mass arrest? And
oh
I
yeah.
mean, and I mean from the big guys, because the smaller ones will fall anyway, because what do they have left? After that, it's just a cleanup thing, right? But
Mm.
I think the mass arrest is the big ones, being worldwide, not so much, every corrupt politician in the US, but it's rather, you know, yeah, globally, the mass arrest. That's what it is, I think. But we'll see, because we know between now and a month, we will know, you know?
Oh
But
yeah.
to me,
Oh yeah.
yeah, for the first time, it really adds up to me. And we'll see, you know?
We'll see. I mean, it's funny because I simultaneously feel very comfortable with what's happening, but also at the same time
Yes.
very much like hyper focused. And this is crunch time, and here we
Yes.
go because it's about to happen. And I almost feel like the awakening is happening so incredibly quickly. It's
Yes.
what all I can do is push out a little bit. It's like this. It's a flood. It's like you said. It's drip, 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 and a flood. It's like I'm throwing more buckets on this massive flood. It's like what can stop it now at this point? It's
Yeah.
like voting for Biden. What I really want to see is that I can't wait till it becomes so so audacious, or so that's not quite the right word, but like so ridiculous to consider voting for Biden that you get someone that has a video where they see someone who owns a house go out to the yard and like quietly and kind of ashamedly pick up their Biden yard sign and take it inside. That's what I'm really hoping someone can get a video of that. So if you have neighbors with a Biden sign, keep an eye out for them taking it down, because it's becoming like you have to be a real uh, mentally and morally defective person at this point. Not quite yet. It's like you can still be brainwashed, but 4 to 6%. It's like that's pretty small.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
also with the news coming out, I bet there's many neighbors that just go like in front of their sign and just pull it out without being
Yeah.
seen. Because
Yeah.
you already see that now. On Twitter, I saw it also. Like people like, holy crap! He because people are shocked. For us, it's not a shock because we knew
Right.
what was coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is really the news that's coming out. The flood. And yes, they try to put a lid on it, but remember, people are curious. They
Yeah.
do want to know, especially when they're talking videos, emails, pictures. It doesn't matter what side you're on, everybody's curious, And so, and especially when those people are pro Biden, that what would they do? They want to do anything to debunk it. Well, try and debunk that.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. Try and debunk that. Try and look down. Okay, I'll show how dumb this is. And it's like, oh, pictures from a laptop that no one that's at all reasonable is saying is not from Hunter Biden, and it shows Hunter Biden and well-known people's relatives in that are underage and very compromising positions. It's like, how can you debunk that? It's not,
Yeah.
oh, the payment to the mayor of Moscow's wife. It's like, yeah, that's all very corrupt, but this is on a whole nother level.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
5-5 raw video, impossible to defend, and it is impossible to defend.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many pictures already. I can't see his dick anymore. But that is because, but people that haven't been awake, they are shocked when they see that,
That
you
yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, for us, we come from such, because remember, we have such a big contrast now in the world, right? Those that fully asleep, they have really no clue. Everything they say, it's all about, anger, hate, and all that. But now you're going to be pushed with your nose into the facts,
Yeah.
and you cannot unsee that. And so, yeah, it's very interesting that, yeah, for us, it's kind of, well, it's not like we're numb about it, but we are desensitized because we've been digging so much. We've seen so many horrible things. Not to mention that this is just the tip of the iceberg, because the worst thing, wasn't there somebody that posted on the chance as well that said, like, how these people at the time when they saw the laptop, that the Wiener laptop, and that they started vomiting, and
Oh
then one by one they suicided. So, um and they say this is about the same level. So will they make it public? I think they will leak it, and everybody that wants to know can watch at it. But if it's somebody that is asleep, they have no clue what will hit them if they click play on such a video.
oh yeah, and it's not the choice in the end to know will be theirs, and it's not it's going to be at some point so ridiculous to believe these things and to not believe, or to believe that what the fake news narrative is. And it's really going to be, I mean, it's going to be a very unfortunate situation for those people who can't look at it. I mean, we've kind of been in our, I wouldn't call it a bubble, but, we've all been talking to each other very closely for a long time and considering these things. And I'm sure everybody remembers, I'm sure you remember, I think we talked about this the first time we talked, like when we first woke up to these things and how traumatic it is.
Yeah.
And how you can also connect this to like the trauma in your life and realizing that we've all been
Yes.
traumatized to a deep extent. And it's like very, like you said, people throw up. It's very visceral.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. The choice to know in the end will be yours, as they say. But we've all made that choice to be at this point and have the choice
Exactly.
and say, oh, okay, I guess I'll take difficult, unpleasant, horrible, nice reality instead of just like the easy way out. It's like that speech that who posted of Reagan saying, "You want peace? I can give you peace today. All you have to do is surrender." And people have surrendered from dealing with reality. But if you
Right.
want to fight for reality and see what it is and deal with the difficultness, then they're going to, unlike us, they're going to be seeing it now instead of 6 months ago or 6 weeks ago, even, or six
Yes.
years ago, or whatever, 60 years ago. It doesn't matter when, but they're going to have to deal with that. And we're going to have to be there to be the calm, be the calm for them, to answer their questions and be there and to help them through it, because
Yeah,
it's
well, that's it, because we were very much told so, right? And now I understand that concept as well, because when we were confronted with that, I also remember seeing the pictures of this MS-13, horrific, horrific, what they did to people. But in a way, while we were learning about all this horrific stuff, you also go through your own trauma, so you start healing,
yeah.
and you become, well, I wouldn't say desensitized, but rather this is the reality, accept and deal with it. And we learn to deal with it, because this is what we've been doing for the past years. Now, take somebody that is not even awake and gets confronted with this. I mean, this is where we need to step in and help, because it will be traumatizing for them. This is where we need to start doing the work that we've been practically trained for, and also make them see the positive side of everything and immediately turn it around. I do believe, and this is where the dark to light comes in, um because, and remember what will happen. People will go search for God. People will search for, things to grab onto in their desperation. And it's a cause and effect to
Oh yeah.
me.
Yeah, big time, big time. Yeah, it's so much, we've been told it's so much bigger than we think. And it really is. It really,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, like our trauma, it relates to that. And they traumatize us all, and they create a culture that traumatizes us all in
Yeah.
many different ways, from the schools to the way they teach us to do parenting, to the way they have us deal with and manage our health, to our system of
Yeah.
the entire system, top to bottom. They want us traumatized so we stay out of touch with who we really are. We stay out of touch with the reality of the spiritual realm, as it were. And they make
Exactly.
anything, yeah. And also in the current culture, they make anything that is of that spiritual realm, they make it either totally seem like it's really crazy. Like I think they've infiltrated the church, and so they
Yeah.
make it so it's not as accessible for people. And on the other side, they make it so if anybody even talks about that, like the liberal atheist side, then you're like a religious lunatic nut. And
Right.
they've gotten us, I saw someone in the chat say Hegelian dialectic, same thing there. They've just split us into these two things, so nobody sees what's
Yeah.
really going on, and people are seeing that through this. And it's all very connected. And when you see reality, public awakening, the greatest fear, and then it's down the toilet for them, because you see
Yes.
them for the true demons that they are, and that they've been trying to make us split and divided and fighting and
Yeah.
make us suffer. I mean, they seem to live off our suffering this whole time.
I think actually for people that are not awake, and these liberals that get all hysterical in cars and all that, I guess some of them, well, maybe many of them won't even survive. They will shoot themselves in the head. But you know what? This is their life path that they chose, because I do believe there's a reason for everything. I don't wish it up on them, but it is what it is. But by now, we are in the majority for those that are awake, although it doesn't seem that way probably, but it is. And so we will be the ones that need to be there and help them. At the same time, what I do notice that those that actually wake up in the past month, they catch up so fast. It's like the
Yeah,
100 monkey effect, right?
yeah,
it's
Uh-huh.
like it's like we already put everything into the collective consciousness, and it's like they grab it and they get it, well, it took us forever and research and all that, but we paved the way kind of for those that have been waking up in the past months. And I can see how quickly they catch up, because um, I think they get hope out of the fact that we still have a lot of humor, that we are happy, that we look radiant. And so what would you ask yourself, as moment you wake up and you find all these horrible things, the first thing you do is, how is it that all these people that actually know about this for much longer are looking that happy? So there must be a
Yeah.
positive side to it, right? And that makes them immediately change and quickly getting up to speed with whatever is going on. And I do believe that is what is happening. And also, and so it will be also easier to, for those that are kind of neutral, they won't have that big of a shock, they will catch up very quickly. Those that are extremely asleep, well, they will come looking for us for answers and for guidance, and we need to be there. And some of them, they won't survive because they are so in their darkness, so to speak. And
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, the 4 to 6% that are lost, it's sad, and it's the reality of the world we live in, I guess. I mean, what can you do? At some point there is, I mean, I think free will is real.
yeah,
And at some point, if you make enough decisions that you no longer, you're in such a rut, such a mental pattern of sadness in a certain worldview, it's, you kind of lose your free will at some point. There's
yeah,
this scene in the Matrix when Neo is kind of coming down from being disentangled from the Matrix,
yeah,
and he's like, oh man, oh what why does my head hurt so bad? And he's like, yeah, we were we were not sure if we should do this to you, because if you get older, we don't like to do it to older people because you get cemented in your ways. And
yeah.
so, because you, I mean, you've made all these choices, your brain is more supple when you're young, maybe on a spiritual level, on something else, but it's come.
Well, I
Yeah, go ahead.
think it's the older people that actually wake up faster because they also know the life
Well, I'm not
before.
just about age. I'm just saying
No,
it's kind
no,
of.
but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
for them it's kind of, because what I see, the majority is from before the whole internet era, right?
Hmm.
And because they see the big contrast, and logically they start thinking, wait a minute, what's going on, right? Obviously, there are many from that generation as well that are fast asleep, but I do think they will catch up quite quickly. It's the younger generation that is completely asleep I'm worried about, rather.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be some from all generations, and it depends on what's happened in your past and where your
Yeah.
mind is. It was an interesting observation. You said that people come here and they see that we're all kind of happy and radiant. It's a very
Yeah.
positive group of people, and
Yeah.
there's so many different various groups of people that interact. And everyone I talk to, and it's gotten even more so. There used to be a lot more infighting among conservatives. In this group, it's very the where we go kind of situation where we realize we're all in this together. And
Well, yeah.
who said, read the Bible. In the Bible it says, you will know a tree by its fruit. And they come here and they see, oh, these people aren't so bad. And you go and you talk to a lot of these, the real, not, I don't just mean Democrat voters, because I know tons of
No.
Democrat voters that are plenty nice. I still have friends that are, but the ones that said I can't be your friend anymore, or the ones you see that are at the front lines in these Antifa rallies trying to say we
Yeah.
should have red cops and things like that. They're like very unpleasant people to be around. And
Actually, an amazing example. I found that video that I saw from this, well, a Democrat voter, and he went. They were there for protesting against those that waiting in line for the Trump rally, right? And so then he goes there, and he tries to be neutral because he wants to know what's going on really, and why they are smiling and happy. So he goes there, and I remember this so well, and they all welcome this guy like without judgment. And then they tell him like, okay, now let's go to your side of the aisle and see how everybody reacts to us. And then and you see the light bulb going off in his face, because at that moment he realized the hate's coming from the side that he's coming from, and all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, this is not. I remember that video so well, because it was such a big contrast, and you saw the guy actually being in shock, not realizing all this time that the hate coming from the other side is so vicious. And while he was there to check if they would be triggered too on the side of, the Trump supporters, and they all welcomed him, and I said, oh, I'll give you a hug, I have nothing against you, you can do whatever you want. And they gave him all hugs, and you are our friend, we have nothing against you. And the man was like flabbergasted. I found that so beautiful, because yeah, if more of them would do that, they would literally, like, be because they are literally programmed. They have no idea that they are in that, until something just clicks and something shows them how obvious it is. And then where do you want to be part of? Those that are hating, or those that are always having fun, loving, happy, you know
Yeah, yeah, it's those kind of things you see, like just like you said there, and there's those demonstrations that they will wake people up. Thus, public awakening is kind of like this virtuous cycle, because if enough people do it, then it becomes more and more obvious, more and more socially acceptable
Yeah.
for it to happen. And the liberals or the Democrats, they were always tended to be like the more hippie, loving, anti-war side.
Yes.
Used to be, all my friends that were Democrats, they're all anti-war, and the
Yeah.
system is like messed up because all these corporate bailouts and all of this corporate subsidies and all this stuff. And now that is the party of Joe Biden, is the corporate subsidies and the pro-war. That is the party of
Exactly.
that. And when they see, it's like you said, it's like they see, oh, I'm on the side of all the war and corporate welfare and
Yeah.
the not caring about people who are getting stepped on. Okay, yeah, it's like it becomes these moments that are
Yeah.
perceptually salient, and they go,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I have to be a Trump supporter now. I think that's happening. That's why public awakening is the greatest fear, because it makes them obvious, shows obviously what they're up to, and then they lose their power. Because this is, I don't know if you've ever seen this animation called The Small Dot on YouTube. It's by Larkin Rose is the name of the guy,
No.
and it shows this little tiny dot, and that represents the Congress, 435 people, and then you
Mhm.
have a massive sea of big dots, and that's the people,
Right.
and the little dots shouting at them saying, you have to do all these things, you have to do this, and if you don't, we'll put you in jail and take your money. And it's like, we outnumber them tens of thousands to one, not just the Congress, but the people that will be willing to enforce the draconian laws.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to see your true power. In fact, who has said they don't want
Yeah.
you to see your true power, essentially. And that's why public way is the greatest fear, because they see, and we'll see, oh, we don't have to listen to them, we don't have
Yeah.
to shut our restaurant down at 10 p.m. if we don't want to, we don't have to send our children to war that we don't believe in, and we don't have to pay whatever corporate subsidies and bail out banks if we don't want to. We
Yeah.
have the power, and they don't want us to see that, because it's the government, and the DS is enforced primarily
Yeah.
by its slaves saying, oh no, you can't go against that, and us all believing we have to.
Exactly. You know what I find amazing, actually, if you think about it, because in the beginning it was like, oh my gosh, because you know how Trump is being like bashed, and all the injustice, the way that Trump supporters are being um, treated everywhere, all the hate and the onslaught that's been going on for like 4 years straight. I find it like a miracle that and also kind of logic. Now I understand how and why, but that nobody became agitated and retaliated in the way that you would think somebody would as a human being, because at a certain point, your head explodes
Mm-hmm.
and you think, wait a minute, this can't go on. Yeah, obviously we all had these moments that you're angry with the injustice and everything that happens around. But have you seen in these 4 years, actually, supporters for Trump retaliating in aggressive way, or going completely out of their heads in anger and aggression? No. And why is that? Because, that could have easily happened if you think about it, right? Because it's onslaught after onslaught after
Right.
onslaught. But the point, what made that not happen is plain faith. Faith in the fact that everything will be all right, the fact that love rules, the fact that God rules, but also the fact that you are all one, and we get through this blind trust in the plan, even for those that don't even follow the movement that we are in, right? And it's interesting to see that, because because those that actually did stuff, those were plants, right? We know that. but
Mhm.
but nowhere have we seen anything of aggression towards others. And I found that very, very beautiful to see, because that is something you wouldn't think of, like, before all this happened. So not only the world changed in every aspect, the contrast between what's happening, everything, in 4 years time the whole world changed in the way we think, the way we look at things, the way we treat each other, the way it's literally dark and light. And that contrast is becoming so obvious in the past month.
Oh yeah, yeah, it really is becoming obvious, and I think part of the reason we haven't seen the retaliation, which is an interesting observation. And yeah, you don't see it. I mean, you see, I saw someone in the chat say self defense, yes, retaliation, no, and it's like it's basically none. And I think it's because if you've come to this side, you have come from a place of realizing there are certain laws of moral justice of the universe that we have to live by, or kind
Yes.
of all is lost. And so if we sink down to those places, it's like, what are we even fighting for in the first place? The whole reason we have this, and the whole reason that, or, I mean, one of the reasons I think there has to be some kind of universal power, you call it God, whatever it is like there are, for whatever reason, there are some underpinning rules of the universe that are ethical. And
Yes.
when you go down, if you want to make an argument for anything good or bad, you always have to eventually give an argument that is, well, because it's just wrong, and that argument
Yeah.
is acknowledging that there is some just right and wrong to the universe. And one of
Yeah.
those things is, we're going to do things in a way where we're not trying to aggress and start wars. We're trying to create more peace. We're trying to get along. We are not
Exactly.
the stupid level of people who just fight and think might makes right to get what they want. Yeah, we're absolutely going to stand up and control the
Yeah.
military. And if you F with us, you'll find out the fury and hell that we will unleash. That's for sure. That's totally
Yeah.
just amongst the universe. But that's what these people on this side think. That's how we got here. I think that's how I got here, is
Yeah.
because there's something very wrong about the Satanist creed. People oftentimes say is do as thou wilt. Do what you want. You want to kill
Yeah.
someone, go ahead. And we don't really. We all do bad things, but generally our heart and our intention and how we generally live. I'm not saying any of us are perfect or without sin. I'm just saying that what we're trying to do, we're making a good faith effort to not live that way and to not live by
Yeah.
those standards. Trump does everything by the book. This whole movement is trying to do things on a different level, a
Yeah.
different standard by which the previous guard had done. And by that standard, we will go into a new era of peace and prosperity. And we know
Yes.
that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, because it's not like an eye for an eye, because you know
Yeah.
what? We want to be better than that. And here's a thing, though, that I'm still seeing, because obviously we're still learning, all of us. And, the whole racist thing. And so I was annoyed like 2 weeks ago about something. Remember the guy in the airplane um, that was put off the airplane because, well, for no reason whatsoever. Obviously the flight attendant said, oh, because you ate without your mask. Well, how else do you eat, right? So he
Right.
got thrown off. Now this happens to be a guy that was black. Now then I see, for example, that like a tweet from somebody that is also black, and they say, oh, typical the white liberal man. And then I think, guys, if you keep calling it white, black, whatever, it doesn't matter. If the flight attendant was black, it was wrong all the same. If the guy that was thrown off the airplane was white, it was all the same. So why the whole labeling? And so I was having discussions with people about that, but America is the only country that uses these labels in front of man and woman, white man, a black woman, a black man, white woman. It doesn't matter, but they always use this word black and white. And I never understood that because they're still human beings. So, how is that a difference in conversation? Does it change the conversation if you take out if you put the color of the person in? No. And so there, even on the side of conservatives, they keep using that word, these words constantly, and that is keeping racism as well alive, because as long as you still make a difference between that, then it doesn't change. And I don't understand uh, why this is mostly in America, the way that labeling goes. Even religions, for example. No, I'm a Christian white woman. Well, I don't care, because you're still a woman, and I'm talking about a woman. And so, how is it relevant in the conversation that I say the person is Christian and white or black or whatever religion, right? And this is such a habit within the American language. And I see it over and over and over again. And I don't understand it because and here's the thing, right? So they try to put that trend here in Holland. Well, that would mean we need to add a new word within a conversation. I need to all of a sudden use a word that we're not used to. So it doesn't make sense for me, right? And so they can't make it happen to put that same type of language in our language, like to say the white, black, Christian, Jew, whatever, because it's just not the way we speak. If I talk about a man or a woman, I say, oh, that man or that woman. It is not relevant what color they have. And yet I keep seeing it over and over again, and people keep falling for that trap because that is what keeps racism alive as well. And
Yeah,
it bugged me. It
yeah,
bugged me.
I see what you're saying, and it reminds me of I think what we're doing is we're playing into their frame. I saw my pal Brad Colodro gets in the chat say, they bring up who also got banned from YT, but he's on BitChute now. He
Oh,
also
really? Did he
oh
get
yeah,
bumped?
oh yeah,
What?
Brad of the where we
Oh,
what channel?
yeah, I had him
Oh
here. He's
Oh
my
yeah, yeah.
friend.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I saw you in his Discord server. Yeah. Yeah, he got banned on YouTube too. We do a show on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Live. And he was saying, they force the black white narrative to keep us divided. And yes, they do. And what we're doing is we're playing this concept. There's this concept of playing into someone's frame or allowing someone else to set the frame. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with the concept?
No.
Oh,
Because,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we don't have that way,
Oh, okay. Well, this concept applies to so much more than just this concept. It's the idea is that, and Trump is the master of what is known as the reframe, i.e., not playing into someone's frame. Because when someone asks you a
Oh,
question,
I
yeah,
know what you mean.
okay,
Framing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, framing, exactly.
Oh, that word was introduced here too now, like 2 years ago. All of a sudden,
Oh,
framing,
cool,
framing, 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 framing. Everybody's like,
exactly, yeah. Because
we're
Trump
so,
made, yeah,
yeah,
Trump made it obvious that it's a critical thing. The framing, it's like
it
the media
is.
asked a question like, so. Are you why are you not racist if you call it the Chinese virus? And he'll just kind of take it whatever way he wants. He can take these questions and reframe it to whatever he wants. He doesn't, and
Yeah.
this is what people don't understand is you don't have to answer the question someone asks you. You don't have to assume that any question, any topic someone brings up, it has tons of assumptions underlying it. And
Yes.
you don't have to agree to all of those. And you kind of are implicitly agreeing if you just answer it within the framework they put. So Trump and the media, they put everything into this framework of black and white or Christian and Muslim. And, religion is moral ideal, so it's slightly more chosen. But in this case, they use it for division, gay versus straight, all these things. And it's like you're framing this that a person is, as you said, it's these various characteristics about them rather than they don't want you to talk about what
Yeah.
are your values. They want you to talk about Republican and Democrat, but not what are your values. Are you against harming of children. They don't want you to talk about that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Trump's
exactly.
bringing the conversation. You know, he said, "Oh, that topic came up here 2 years ago." It's because these topics are now starting to become like the 100 Monkeys. They're starting to become understood by people,
Yeah.
and that's all part of the awakening too. So I think it's people are seeing what a scam all this Black Lives Matter. Every time I see a Black Lives Matter sign, I think how insulting that you think that because I like President Trump, who has done a lot for all Americans, regardless of race. How insulting that you think that I don't think that Black people's lives matter. I mean,
Right, right. That
that's so
doesn't make, well, they
ridiculous.
try to put that here in our culture now too. And yes, there are obviously the same idiot liberals, but most of us, we don't fall for it. Why? Because it's never been like that here. So, we have Dutch we call it countries that are from, that belong to Holland as well. That is all black people. So why would we, here's a fun one. So Leonidas, he's from South Africa. If he gets an American citizenship, does that mean he's an African American? And he's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a funny term.
doesn't make sense to me because yes, he's from Africa, so he's an African American, but clearly this belongs to a color. So it's so stupid. If somebody is American or you're not, it doesn't matter. Most of these people have never been in Africa. They haven't. They don't even know. You don't even know if they're from Africa to begin with. But just they have a color. They call them African American. That's the weirdest thing ever for me. Not to mention, there's also white people in Africa, so it doesn't make sense. You know. So if Leo ever gets the American citizenship, I'm going to call him an African American, and and this is it. This was the woman in particular that put out this tweet was one of those check marks, and she was black herself, and she goes like, "Oh, look at this white liberal," and I put underneath, I'm like, "You're not any different because if the flight attendant was black, would it make a difference to the story? No. Would it make a difference to the story of the guy that was put out, was white? No, it's wrong. Wrong is wrong, and good is good, and right is right. It doesn't matter if the person has a different color or religion, and this is so ingrained, and I keep seeing it over and over again. And so I do want to point this out because obviously many know this already, but I do feel a sort of a victimhood behind it as well, because you see many people of color do this in America as well, even if they're conservative. And then I think, why would you maintain that? Why would you keep yourself separate from the rest? And maybe they do it subconsciously, obviously, because it is ingrained within the culture. But I just want people to know America is the only country doing that. I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Peter. I'm a Jewish, Christian, Scottish, and this and that heritage.
That's
Well,
me.
I don't care. You're American to me, and you're a guy. End of story. Why is that always relevant? Because what happens then in the conversation, all the attention goes towards that what is not relevant. So if you are talking about something, you're in a conversation with something, and I say, oh, this black, what do you get? Judgment immediately in your mind. Oh,
Yeah, not relevant. You're
this Jewish black woman that I met the other day, and the, to me, when somebody talks like that, the first thing I always get stuck in my head is like, Jewish black. Wait a minute, are there black people that are Jewish? Not that I care or it's interesting, but I'm totally distracted from what the rest of the story is going to be,
right.
because now I'm in my mind, I'm busy with, oh, so the person is Jewish and black, and so um, how does that? How is that relevant with the story? Because do I need to pick out something here that uh, should make me judge? Right? It's literally a question to judge.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's like if you think about if you're trying to figure out the truth or get to the bottom of a certain story, it's like if you're starting here and you need to get here, any single thing that takes you off the trail, it's like there can be 1,000 different things.
exactly.
Someone else telling you, "Oh, don't go that way. Don't go towards the truth. You need to think about the race of this person." And
Yeah, yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird
yeah,
how many tweets I see, and when it starts like, oh, this black guy, this white guy, and I'm like always stuck at the color, and I'm like, but I'm obviously not American, and Americans probably look at it differently because they read through it. But I want to ask, what if you really subjectively think about it, right? When you are talked to like that, don't you, as Americans, get stuck with that as well? Or does it change the story or whatever is being said?
I mean, it doesn't change what I think about someone, but it does. They force Trump to talk about these things. They force Trump to say, "Look, I've created the lowest Black American unemployment." And he doesn't generally say African American because, like you said, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
I've created the lowest Black unemployment, the lowest Hispanic unemployment. Because if they don't, they'll accuse him of being a racist. But they're the ones, because these people always project, define psychological projection. They give themselves away. Everything
Yeah,
they accuse Trump of, they've given themselves away. Oh, collusion with a foreign country. Oh, abuse of power.
yeah,
Racism.
yeah,
No, they're the ones that are obsessed with race. Who said
yeah,
Robert Byrd, a former Grandmaster of the KKK, is a great guy? Was that this Democrats or Republican? Which
yeah.
party was against the Civil Rights Act? Which party was against freeing the slaves? Which party was about giving blacks the right to vote? Which party was against it? It was all the D's,
Yes.
all the D's. And they always, everything they do is a total projection.
But also, it goes even further because it also goes with Latino, Asian.
Oh,
First
yeah.
of all, I have eyes in my head. I can see. So how is it relevant to say it? And second, how is it relevant? It just is not. And the first time I encountered this was when I was like 21 years old. I was in Italy and modeling, and there was this black girl. Well, we're used to that because they're all over here. And for us, they're just Dutch. We don't call them African Dutch or wherever they come from. No, they're just Dutch. So I wasn't used to that at all. Now this girl happened to be quite a bitch, and so she annoyed the shit out of me. And I told her, like, okay, cut it off. And she goes like, oh, you're just saying that because I'm black. And I'm like, what? you
Oh,
know and
because she's annoying.
I've only seen this happening with Americans. They always put everything on race. It doesn't matter, or religion or whatever. And I found that so shocking because to me, all of a sudden, and you know what happened as a result? Every American that had a collar I encountered, um, I had the feeling that I need to tiptoe around it because, oh, what if I offend them, or whatever heritage they have? It doesn't matter. But whoever was born in America and had a different heritage, like Asian or Latino, whatever, then I felt like I needed to tiptoe around that. That was the strangest experience. And I've done that ever since. And I don't like it because it's not necessary, and now I'm at the point where I refuse to go with that. I don't care what they're going to say, but I just refuse to go with that narrative. And I think people that are awake, they should watch their words in that sense because it keeps it always in check. Very important thing to say.
Oh, yeah. You mean watching your words generally?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Big time. Yeah. I don't know where there might be something in the Bible about that, but yeah, the words have so much power. And they,
Yeah.
it just really, that's what, and when you look at the wording of the posts on the boards, they're all very concise. Every word is chosen for a reason.
Yeah.
And all of the language they use, it is to distract, to cast these spells on us, to upload programming to us. So as you said, we'll get distracted, or we will have all these defense things up like, oh, I can't communicate to this lady who's annoying to me because she's annoying to me, or she's being rude, she's being unkind, because then she will then blame it on
Oh,
race or distract with something
oh,
else.
here's
Yeah,
a one.
I
My
can.
sister, my sister's a flight attendant, and she got the same thing again with an American. Now, she had to, like, she does her job, right, and she needs to check the boarding pass, and so she did everybody else already, and the woman didn't see that, but she goes there and she asked like for the boarding pass, and 3 months later, she had to come in her office at the manager because she actually wanted to sue because due to race, she was asked something the rest of them was not asked, and therefore this was racist. And she would like, I don't, and now she's tiptoeing around in the airplane every single time when there's an American of whatever heritage. She's like, God, you need to be so careful because, they want to sue the shit out of you immediately when there's something, that is, it's so sad, really. Also, Julia, thank you for your donations. Thank you so much. I just got it here from the GoFundMe. Thank you. That was really sweet. So, yeah, I just wanted to have that said because it's so ingrained within the American culture. And yes, I know it's not even meant to be that way, because if you are always used to do that, then obviously on the left, they made a sport out of it now because they just use it. This is why what you said about Trump, trying to unframe everything, and he's right. Now about the coyote, and what was that? Was that David Hogg that posted something about xenophobia? Because he called people that traffic children coyotes, and so now they are xenophobic. That made me laugh really hard. But yeah, they use this like in a bad way, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's all to distract because they don't want to see what's really going on. They don't want to talk about trafficking of children. They don't want to talk about
No,
what
no.
people get taken across the border, what happens to the coyotes. They don't want to talk about that. Yeah, I saw this great, I don't know who tweeted it, someone did, but it basically said, I'm convinced that a lot of these people would rather have children be trafficked than to vote for
Yes,
Donald Trump.
yes.
And that's what they've done. That's what
Yeah,
they've done. It's true.
it's incredible the stuff that comes out of their mind, out of their mouth, only out of hate, right? I found that like, yeah, and now with the yeah, foot fetishes. Now we get that. I bet they're gonna frame that too. You know, it's okay to have a foot fetish.
Right? Yeah. I'm not going to judge you. You can still
Not
get a pay.
gonna judge, but yeah, and there were how many check marks on Twitter that didn't even know what that was meant with the coyote.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
many.
Well, I didn't either. I just learned while watching because we were in Discord.
Uh,
Everybody was watching it. Oh, and we were just commenting on it. And I didn't know that phrase about coyotes. And instantly, obviously, you learn. But, and then I find that all these blue check marks, they don't even know what it is. It was so funny.
yeah. It is they're really squirming.
Yeah, that's so true. Monkey. POTUS is so xenophobic that he married not one but two immigrants.
That's a great point. Yeah, he
That's
really is.
another thing. They're so blind to it,
Oh,
their hate is it's amazing how that works. Yeah, I love it. So, did we go over your time? Yes, we did. Oh my gosh, you had 1 hour and you needed to go.
oh yeah, no, yeah, totally fine. I just have another. I'm doing. I do a stream on Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh,
So
really?
get ready for that. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, so you're on D Live then tonight on
On D Live, yes, on D Live.
yeah, and White Hat goes live here on at 9. But did you go live always at 9?
Yes, yes, I
Oh,
have been for a while. Yep.
oh, that's why, because I would always go to check out Whitehead, and that's why I missed you. But with Brad, you're still doing that, right, on the
Brad,
Friday?
yeah, Brad Coladro gets of the you know where we blank blank. Uh,
Yeah.
it's also banned. We do a show every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, the friggin' Friday night show, where we go over the week's news and discuss what the heck's going on. And
Yeah.
it's usually a good time Friday night. dlive.tv/reasonable TV.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
in the description, and also
great. Thank you.
my mods have been throwing it around like
Thank you.
candy.
Thank you, Mod.
So yeah, and yeah, it was like awesome actually having a talk with you. It's always fun, because we have actually it's not an interview; it's like a conversation, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah,
The
and
pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
you and Brett are a great duo as well. I love it,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, it's always a party. It's always a party here.
Oh yeah, man. It's fun. I'm so glad we're in the home stretch because this has been
Oh
a wild
yeah,
ride. I can't wait to see what's happening.
I, I
It's so
think
great.
I think after the election, probably it will all calm down. Also with the censorship, because then they have no use anymore to do that if they even have still power after that. You know, we
Yeah.
don't know.
big time, big time.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know there's a big lawsuit going on. I'm not a part of it, but I
yeah.
think it will shake out. And I think, we've been told class action lawsuits are very effective.
Yeah, but
And
still, I feel like, why would you? It's like you, okay, say your husband and wife, and you can't get along, and then you sue the wife or the husband because they want to leave you, but you want them to keep it to stay, even if it's miserable,
Mhm.
So why would we stay slaves of
Oh,
this?
I don't care about getting back on YT. They can go pound sand, but they've done significant damage to people. People much bigger than me, Red Pill, SGT report, all these people, and I mean me too. Significant damage with the
Well,
shadow
yeah,
and the banning. I mean, this is people's jobs. This is, I have another job, but I do this. I would do much more at my current business if I didn't do this. And this job I want to make into my full-time job, and they have done nothing but stymie that. If I made videos about cats or goofy pranks or something,
yeah,
would be I wouldn't be in the situation. I wouldn't have been demonetized. I wouldn't have been
yeah,
kicked off the platform. I wouldn't have been shadow banned, and
true.
done real damage to people. Real
Well,
damage to people's
I
lives.
get that aspect, but
Yeah.
I saw the tweet about that it was about reinstating everybody. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I think, well, that doesn't make any sense. I would get damages, yes, but reinstating, that is a bit like, fighting for your biggest enemy to come back to you, or you coming back to your biggest enemy. uh, I think it's time for something new, and
Yeah,
uh,
that's true. That's a good point. And I mean, a lot of people, I liked YouTube. I've been on it. I've been on
well,
YouTube
yeah,
for 14 years. It's a nice platform.
yeah, it
I've been making
is.
videos for 3.5, and it's sad that it went this way. But not everyone gets off YouTube, so
Yeah.
it's I
But
feel
with all that
that.
money, I think if you're gonna like collect a lot of money, right? So you have a big fat lawsuit, then I think, well, with that same money, you can actually start your own kind of platform all together with everybody. Remember, we are with many. Everybody has a
Yeah,
skill, you know,
good
uh,
point. And
and
it
you
is
can,
happening. I think some people, it's happening on various places
yeah,
through the internet. So I think we'll see that rise over the
yeah.
next few years because YT is destroying itself.
Yeah, yeah. Why would they actually look at that? If I get like a super chat, 30% goes to them.
Hmm.
I mean, that's criminal, kind of,
Yeah,
because
what's really criminal is that they will stop people that's making them money, it's making their shareholders money, and is
yeah,
bringing more people to their platform. They will stop people from allowing them to use super chat. I
yeah,
understand. Okay, allegedly your advertisers don't want to be on our channel, but you don't want to have super chats with money
yeah,
to profit off the top. So that is literally criminal. That's a breach of their fiduciary duty to their shareholders,
yeah.
and I hope they're held to account because that's
Well,
ridiculous.
I prefer people not to use it. I would prefer them to go for the GoFundMe because I don't have a PayPal. But because at the end of the day, you're paying to them. Why would you do that? you
Yeah.
know it doesn't make any sense, and so it's time for something new, I believe, and it will come, and let's just hope for a bright future for all us, because I'm positive about that, optimistic. How
Oh
about
yeah,
you?
so am I. Very positive. The future is going to be so bright. I don't know entirely what's going to be there, but I just think with all of the technology they've been holding back, with all of the knowledge that has been held back, with all of the fighting they've caused us to do with each other, and all of the by design economic struggle, if that is unleashed, imagine what this world will be in 5 or
Yes,
10 or 20 or 100 years after we're all long dead and gone, or maybe with what they
yeah,
release in the healthcare, maybe we won't. I don't know, but it's
yeah,
going to be with what look how far we've come without it, and now they're going to unleash
yes.
all these things. I think the future is very bright.
I think so too. I'm very happy that you see it that way as well. And, thank you all my mods in there for sharing links, for also from Craig. And I all hope to see you again on the Thursday. I don't know who's my guest yet, but I keep that actually a surprise. I have somebody, but that's not confirmed yet. So we'll see. But yeah, and then my health topic as well. I do it now 2 in a day because everybody took all the spots in times uh, in the calendar. And so, but I do like it doing 2 streams in one day, then I'm over with it. But I thank you all. Very sweet to be here. and whoever is coming afterwards. I hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe and like if you're new. Also, if you're not new, still like. And I'm all over the place, right? And thank you so much, Craig. And I hope you will be coming back as well in the
Pleasure.
future.
I'd love to. Thank you for having me on, Keystone. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you everybody for joining. I saw a lot of familiar faces to shout, so shout out to everybody. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, always fun. And I'll catch you on your channel and the chats. And have a great evening, everybody.
Sounds great. Bye, y'all.
Peace out.